Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Friday, guys. It's November 8th, 2024. Hope you had a powerful week. You got things done that you desired to complete, bring closure to. You got some rest maybe in between those action items, or that you're gearing up for some great rest over the weekend, or maybe something fun, or maybe a little bit of everything. Whatever it may be, I hope that it's extremely satisfying and fulfilling in spirit and in truth. We're going to jump right into this message because I'm getting to the table a bit late today, as usual. I was out and about today, so here I am nonetheless. Let's see what we got. Two of Swords, really? Two of Swords, indecision, crossroads, indifference. About money? Or maybe indecision about what to do with some money or an investment? Let's keep going back. Okay, and then the Justice. Okay. All right, so we got Two of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords, the Seven of Wands, and the Justice card with the Six of Wands on the bottom of the deck. All right, so what's this? It's like this energy here is trying to both protect themselves from, let's say, either persecution or prosecution. That's what I'm feeling like. This is feeling like they're protecting themselves from the law or from justice. But it's also like a feeling of a sense of entitlement to protection under the law. Although it feels like this Knight of Swords is an inflection of the Seven of Wands, where someone may be guilty of something like attack or some type of aggravated assault, or they were planning to do something in that regard, and to attack someone for some financial gain, or someone that they felt had there's something to be desired here, or some benefit that has been identified with the Queen of Pentacles, whether it's actual money or whether it's, it could be anything, but it's something of value to whomever this Knight of Swords energy may be, that provoked an attack, or the intention at least for an attack. Because with the Knight of Swords, it may or may not have actually, it could be a psychic attack. Yeah, it could be that, but it could also be that it didn't actually, it was a plan that wasn't quite dispatched, but it was fully, what's the right word? Like hatched. You know what I mean? Like, it may not have been dispatched, but it was definitely hatched, where somebody was quite particular of the details to forge some type of aggression or project some type of aggression against this Queen of Pentacles, except where it may have appeared she was most vulnerable, it actually proved to be like security in a blind spot. That's what I'm getting here with the Two of Swords. It's like protection is over here some type of way, but it's in a way that is not necessarily obvious or visible, particularly from the outside looking in. So where the Queen of Pentacles may look open for, a free-for-all, pretty much, it just so happens that there are security measures in place that either hell, maybe propelled, again, like kind of dismantled this plan of attack before, again, it was even able to be dispatched, or just repelled it upon encounter, or upon its approach, or upon its advance or whatever. So somebody literally could have been making their way, maybe even could have gotten within, a threatening distance of their target, only to somehow be rerouted, or something to be foiled. I don't know what that is. Like, I feel like it's some type of element that wasn't planned for, that couldn't have been planned for, again, because it's in a blind spot. So where someone had every detail planned as to perhaps even mapping out the vulnerabilities of this target, and it doesn't have to be a person. I don't know what exactly it absolutely could be, but whatever it is, the vulnerabilities and, the defenses, more or less, of this energy seem to be all accounted for with this Knight of Swords. That's somebody that is like overly ambitious in their planning and their strategy and their tactics and things like that. They would feel like they have the intel, like inside intel, on whatever it is they're zeroing in on, but they didn't. In this case, they did not. And so now someone's in a position here to have to protect themselves from the mere efforts they had hatched. Like, maybe this is like an attempted assault, or an attempted, what did I say it was? Yeah, aggravated assault, or some type of attempt at an offense that in itself is unlawful or illegal, and perhaps in spirit, but with the Justice card here, that could be, and next to the Seven of Wands, that could be quite actual and practical, that someone is under scrutiny for some things that there could be evidence, or there could be some type of trail or trace leading back towards someone's intentions that are incriminating in such a way that now, they may have to defend themselves legally, they may have to defend themselves socially, or like publicly defend their character, or account for their intentions and their motives to other people that may have answers, may have questions and may want answers. Whatever this is, it's like somebody kind of somebody backed themselves up into a corner that could have been avoided, because, like I said, this was a planned attack. So if someone would have resisted that urge and, turn the other way or retreated or whatever, they may not be in the position that they're in at this point. But not only is it a matter of the planning, but actually the intent to execute in some way, shape, or form. Or maybe they didn't. I feel like with the Knight of Swords, that's usually some advancement. There's some action taken there. There's some transportation. So, I still feel pretty strong about it being someone that intended to take off in this direction toward the fulfillment of this plot and plan. But it just didn't. It just something happened. Something was intercepted. There was some interference, or I don't know, like some aspect of the plan that wasn't accounted for, maybe spoiled. Some surprise element that wasn't accounted for because it couldn't be foreseen, maybe spoiled everything. It could have been the determining factor of the entire plan's success. And then we got the Six of Wands here, which is like victory, that is the success. Let me see something here. So it seems like this Knight of Swords was trying to get to the Queen of Wands to cut short her abundance and security, to somehow, to knock the Queen of Swords into this state of the Two of Swords of uncertainty, to be it's more or less like an instability, but I feel like it's more material intended than anything, because the Queen of Pentacles, that would seem to be the point of target, would be like their wealth, their abundance, their stability, their financial security, so on and so forth. But the blind spot is that the Queen of Pentacles is prosperous. Her prosperity is not measured by material. It's measured by something more intangible than that, and therefore more protected, like more covert or coveted in some sense than that, like something that is hard for it to actually be attacked. Like if you have the intention to attack someone's stability, to attack someone through their material stability, but they still have, their wits about them, their mind is still clear, they still have imagination, still have hopefulness and faithfulness to, whatever is lost even, or would be in threat. It's like you can't really make yourself an enemy against something that somebody is not, in this way, that somebody's not really afraid, that like die hard for. Like, okay, I don't have money. Okay, fine. Like, all right, I'm not driving the car that I want to drive right now. Okay, one day, okay, well, the business I started didn't quite flourish the way that I had envisioned it. Well, I'll try it again, or I'll try something else. You know what I mean? It's like if someone is always in a position to to reinvent themselves or to reinvest in themselves is really like an endless fight to attack them at a level that, you know, just doesn't matter. That it's attacking matter that really doesn't matter all that much, at least in this case. And it could even be someone, you know, as the Queen of Pentacles, that is just innately um uh like prosperous, you know what I mean, and productive. Like that's what she does. So where you may cut off one supply or one source, one resource or one avenue or whatever the case may be, all she's going to really do is just manifest another one, you know. So it's like what's meant to really pierce that force field and do some real damage never really quite does. And I'm almost getting with the Two of Swords is that it's like not only does it not do the damage it was intended to do, it's as if it's not even perceived to be the enemy or the adversary that it would, you know, that the Knight of Swords in this case is not even perceived to be the enemy or the adversary that it truly would want to be revered as. Like if nothing else, especially if we're talking about psychic attacks, you at least want to captivate somebody's mind to feel like they're defenseless or feel like they've lost or they've been had, they've been took, they've been bamboozled, you know what I mean? Like they have been stolen from or they've missed out on an opportunity. It's like this energy here with the Knight of Swords wants to be in a strange way recognized for the damage that they are able to cause and inflict. But the double whammy is that not only is what they're doing falling short or what they have done in many ways, well, I'll say now, what they're attempting to do is not quite landing. But the other piece of it is that the things that they have done, of which probably may have landed, you know, may have made an impact. Because like I'm saying, it's like, all right, things happen, but for someone that is incessantly productive and prosperous in spirit and in the mind, you're just going to transmute that energy and reinvest it into yourself or into something else even more productive the next time around. So I'm saying that to say that even in the ways that they may have actually made an impact in previous times, it still hasn't quite been absorbed as the shock and frequency that they would have felt satisfied to inflict, you know, because this is either with the Two of Swords, somebody that doesn't even really either realize, you know, that they're literally not they're indifferent first and foremost, and or is somebody that's not even like what is the word? Like they're not even like when you're not even given something any real life. You know what I mean? It's like it's not getting the response. The Two of Swords is not going to give the response that a Knight of Swords would be pleased by for all their efforts and ambitions. You know, for somebody to not even really acknowledge or to not be reactive, that's what it really is, to not be so reactive to whatever the circumstances may be or have been, is really kind of a blowback to the Knight of Swords, who intends for that sword to inflict some pain, you know? So again, it's just like, it literally is like a double-edged sword for the failure of the Knight of Swords, because they've they've overplayed their hand and being overzealous and over ambitious to force, like feeling entitled to some type entitled to make an impact in some way. And they can't really get over themselves on the fact that in the ways, they should have just probably, counted their wins and kept it moving, but they can't get over the fact that the blows that like their blows weren't more fatal. That's what I'm getting at. Like it was intended to be fatal, the knockdown, drag out, blowout with every swing of that sword. It was supposed to cut somebody down to size and deplete them in such a way that they would ultimately be energetically bankrupt with the Queen of Pentacles. But she's still sitting here as the queen, and practically unbothered, in the bigger scheme of things. So it's just like there is no satisfaction or fulfillment for someone's intentions here. And now they may actually have to answer for it. Whoops. And then here's the Six of Wands, where there's victory here somewhere, and I don't know, but how I see it is she got on red, and this energy in the card has on red. So for that, this could even be, and Justice has on red. So this literally could just be victory prevailing overall. You know what I mean? Like creating a balance in what was very imbalanced, generally speaking, that is blind, literally, like not even biased to a winner or a loser, but just fair, So that's what I'm seeing. What's that I done pulled out? Well, first of all, we got that. Oh, well, there's the Ace of Swords. So there's some confirmation there. And then we got the Hangman, which could be, that could be doubling down on the enlightenment, the clarity that may have been necessary or just in some way imperative to someone's success. Some level of enlightenment or influence, revelation, perhaps. Maybe that's what was hidden, since it was under here, is that there was some channel, of a more supreme nature that was, because it's almost like TV antennas now that I'm looking at the Two of Swords, like somebody was tapped in to the divine. That was the mystery. That was the blind spot. Someone, again, was looking from a very linear, three-dimensional perspective where, as far as that terrain is concerned, I'm sure they had all their T's crossed and their I's dotted, but you can't really account for someone's celestial channel, what they're tapped into, what they're not, how they receive their directives, their marching orders, their warnings, their insights, their revelations. Like, although it could have been even an attempt to tap into that channel or to interfere or interrupt it, maybe even that's something that's happened before, but for whatever reason, in this energy here, given the justices on the board, it's something that is no longer admissible, and where someone may have taken a great chance to try their luck, like to kind of like risk it all to create an interference or to intercept information or intel for themselves. Like whatever it was, it didn't transfer or transmit clearly because of that breach, or it might have even have been like a secure line, so to speak, where someone couldn't even tap in with their best intentions. And perhaps they've been used to doing so before, but they couldn't even tap in a way to be a distortion or to glean that transmission off the line or off the channel, because it was so sacredly secured. Because this, like the Ace of Swords, it knows, you may be able to distort a channel on this level, again, on the 3D, but when the divine is on the line, it's very hard to cut that communication off, especially when you don't have jurisdiction over it, especially when the message is not for you, especially when you are out of order and out of alignment, where you have literally no entitlement to that frequency. Yeah, it's like literally somebody trying to steal a phone and that doesn't belong to them, and trying to keep, like is claiming all the contacts and all of the information and things in the phone as theirs, simply because they've laid claim to it, or they feel some entitlement. Like, I don't know, like it doesn't even make any sense, right? Like I'm saying this because that's what popped up, but there's not even really a way for me to make that make sense. Imagine you just walking up to somebody and snatching their phone and saying, like, yeah, this is mine now. You don't even know the people in their phone, or, like the people don't know you for the most part. And when they're calling that phone, they're not calling to talk to you because your number is not attached to that phone. So it's like somebody just trying to like hijack communication. I don't know, because they don't like their phone, or they don't have the same service, or maybe it's older, I don't know, for whatever reason, but it's just ridiculous. And it's the same with energetic and intuitive interferences that people have been projecting and for years, for lifetimes perhaps, but certainly for longer than anybody would be comfortable to know is true for themselves in this lifetime, that people have been making impressions and interfering in your astral space and in your subconscious energy, and trying to tap into your intuitive nature to intercept ideas and divine downloads and uploads and inspirations and revelations, to keep them for themselves before you can fully either receive them or activate them or integrate them in your life. It sounds very fantastical, but if you know, and it could happen on a very practical level, me being as though the justice is here. So, and I said something about phones, so it could literally be someone hacking into that could be how somebody got caught up, trying to hack into your virtual space by way of your email, or cloning your phone, or having somebody hack into your social medias, or whatever the case may be. Like, it could even be that, trying to intercept information before you get it, or to see, kind of spy and scry on what you're working on, what you're creating and building, so that they can either just quite honestly pray against it, or project negative energy against it, or outright steal it and repurpose it for themselves. So that could be the practical way of how someone may have actually, got themselves caught up, because there could be literally caught up with the Hierophant here, because the evidence of their footprint is incriminating. Their IP address or their actual devices, whether it be their phone, their laptop, or somebody, like whatever this is, somebody's having to really answer for their actions. And it doesn't seem to me that they have a strong, I don't know. I'm sensing that they don't have a strong defense. They might be putting up a good fight, but if the evidence is that damning, there's no defense that could be strong enough for anyone to be intrusive to someone's personal space, virtually or actually, spiritually or physically, you know what I mean? Or mentally, for that matter, that would be excusable. There is none. King of Wands. I think I saw him peeking out at the bottom too, I believe. King of Wands, yeah, this is some type of action that was taken. Let's see what we got on the bottom. The Strength, ooh, and the Temperance right at the bottom. It wanted to make sure I saw it. Yeah, because there's been some type of angelic presence, and this is the equalizer right here with the Temperance card. Like with the Justice, that's the physical justice. This is the spiritual one. And like I said, it's like a strong verdict that's being exacted for someone's actions. And the Temperance with this was the protective energy here with the Strength card for, again, and this could also have been the blind spot, that somebody thought that somebody was just a sitting duck, or some people have appeared to be sitting ducks, unaware, vulnerable, and particularly if we're talking practically speaking, where you have no idea that before the past few years or so, I didn't really know the intricacies of stalking, and gang stalking, and the lengths that people can and will go to have access to your sacred space and your personal information. So, and that's just on a practical level. On a spiritual level, it's even more fantastical and mystical that it's hard to even really speak on it because it sounds crazy, and it is, but on a practical level where you can actually make it make sense, it's still just as ridiculous, but at least you can understand how it could be that someone would and could be so intrusive when it's not just psychic projections or impressions or astral projection and like psychological interference and things like that, which is all it is a thing, but it often does have a very physical and three-dimensional reflection as well, and that's the footprint that ultimately gets people caught up, because they can't settle with, it's like, like most culprits in some way, shape, or form usually want some attention or some credit for their handiwork, even if they could go years and years without getting caught or without being exposed or found out. At some point, there's this deep-seated desire to take credit and to be recognized for your so-called brilliance. And also, with that is the overambition to, again, as I said, want to see the evidence of the impression that you're making. At some point in time, it being a covert response doesn't really satisfy the diabolical senses as much. So usually compel someone to go deeper, or go overboard in more ways, and in ways that are more expository, is that a word? Exposing. And that's usually what gets them pinned down. But if this is a matter of, what was I saying? There was something about, I was saying like the things that people will do, like I said, cloning your phone and hacking into your emails and stuff like that. Is if someone will go to that length of how do I say, like will cross those boundaries, there's really no telling what else they would do, or what else they have done, especially just for the sheer satisfaction of the control and the power and influence to do so. So it's like that type of imbalance can no longer be tolerated in the realm, because it's done too much damage already. And for those that have been resilient to endure it, and also to stay tempered again in their reactions and responses against it, because there's one thing when you don't know, and that's what I was saying, like you don't know what's being done, but then there's another when you actually do get the intel, when you get the revelation, when somehow it's exposed to you what you have been exposed to, you know what I mean? And that can be a very terrifying discovery. And so for those that have had to, and here it is, that was supposed to be the most defeating impact of all, to have this download and intel of revelation, of which in some ways you couldn't even really prove, because as I said, some stuff sounds so fantastical that it's like it's pretty much banked on that you're never going to tell, or even if you did, people will think you're crazy, or that you're just, you're out of your mind, or there's no way that something like that could happen. But then when that's not the response, when you are balanced and you find a harmony within yourself, a peace, a self-control, strength, resilience, the will to, reserve your rage, you know what I mean? Even when it is righteous, that is what ultimately provokes the retaliation and the incessant intention to attack in ways that will ultimately evoke that response that is most satisfying. Because otherwise it's like, I'm attacking you and you're not responding. It no longer just becomes satisfying that they're actually making an impact, especially if it's merely physical and you're not even responding to that. It becomes like a what is it, like an obsession, like even in some ways a possession of some, to feel like they have to see some evidence of their handiwork. And if you're sitting here in the strength and in the temperance against their best work, that's not satisfying enough. And like I said, it usually invokes doing something more and going overboard. And then when it all comes down to it, not only do you have to answer for how you've been caught out there, but then you still have to answer for all the other attempts as well, because none of that is lost. That's just been stored up in celestial records, to be accounted for upon the judgment of karmic retribution. So it still doesn't go anywhere, you know. And what else doesn't go anywhere is the temperance and strength and self-control that those that have been on the other side of that experience had to, or didn't have to, but chose to maintain. That's also accounted for, so that there's a balancing that, like I said, is victory and justice overall, for all. And that all pretty much looks like, yeah, yeah, pretty much a restoration of balance and harmony in your waking life. Whomever you are, especially if you can resonate with the energy of the Queen of Wands, like this reestablishment of peace. And again, like the accomplishment itself being, in this case, this King of Wands could even be cultivating this grounded sense of, this is like the grounded expression of how can I say it, like of self-control for your personal power. Because I mean, the King of Wands can get down if provoked, but with the temperance and the strength, and then the King of Wands coming out upon that with those energies, it's like really speaking to someone having their impulses, reactions and responses regulated in such a way where you're only giving energy to what is purposeful, what is valuable, not just what is provocative, So yeah, literally under the Two of Swords, it's like not even giving any life or any resonance to anything that's not purposeful at this point, or that doesn't, or that can't be controlled, and certainly that can't be used for some creative purpose. So that's what this is here. So that intent alone is what ultimately yields this Four of Wands that builds a firm foundation of peace and harmony, and also is built upon the achievements of that cultivated character through the resistance, in spite of and in light of the resistance itself, almost like with gratitude for it, because if it wasn't for that, some people would never even reach this point as the King of Wands in the flesh, with temperance and strength as, in their arsenal, you know what I mean? Like as a part of their portfolio, so to speak. You don't really even get to that without the resistance that cultivates it, and then here you are, but it's still, a challenge nonetheless, and to obtain and maintain that frequency. And then when it is fortified by way of the Four of Wands, that's definitely a cause for congratulations, for sure. What's under here? Wow, with the Wheel of Fortune. Yes, that's the fortune, the fate, the favor, the destiny. And this is what is now accessible in either sense. In this case, this is the karma, right? But also the dharma. So the dharma being dispensed to those that have have realized this achievement in their waking life. And the karma, of course, whatever it is that was sown, being dispensed to those that, have chosen to be in obstinance to the flow of creation and the evolution of creation on a small scale and on a grand scale. So it could just be a hater, you know what I mean? Like one single hater that has zeroed in on one target. Well, they're about due to receive the harvest of, the fruits of their labor as well. And now perhaps it looks like for them, now being in the seat of being hated on, or people not really supporting you or valuing your opinion, your presence, not really understanding your perspective or looking at you a certain type of way. Like I said earlier, wanting answers for what has been exposed and revealed of your true character. Now someone sitting on the side of things that they wished to impress upon someone else, and the things that were intended to be withheld from those that justifiably were assigned to it, are also, are being released rightfully and justly. Righteously is like a righteous justice across the board with the Wheel of Fortune. There's nothing here there's nothing that's being released at this time that is a coincidence, that is unfair, that is unjust, that is not admissible in spirit and in truth, that is not for the sake of creating universal balance and harmony and a restoration of, the covenant between the man and divine and humanity, all of that. And there's certain things that have to be restored for that covenant to be truly fulfilled, as in its purest form. So yeah, I'll leave that alone. But yeah, the Wheel of Fortune is here, which is exactly that. It's the force that insists, that is irrefutable at this time, to have balance and for justice to be served. And that's the reason for the Six of Wands, because it's like where there is an indisputable win due to some, it's absolute. There's nothing anymore that can resist that. And that's what those that have been successful in that resistance in the past refuse to accept now. Because the moment that they do accept it, what they also know they have to accept is the retribution that they are ordered to pay. So it is what it is. This is like, but you know what this feels like? It's like a willful delusion to me. That's what it feels like with the Seven of Cups. And as I said, like a refusal to accept reality as it is. So to just persist in this delusional state and hope, like hope to God that they can project that delusion as someone else, for someone else to assume as their own illusion, if that makes sense. But it's like, and who knows how that's happening? That could even be in the lies and manipulative narratives that people are telling to make excuses for themselves and for their behaviors and their choices now. Or to spin a narrative in their favor to make themselves look less guilty, you know, in whatever way, again, in spirit or in truth or socially or, you know, legally, whatever, however it pans out. But they're counting on the naivete and the vulnerability of others to absorb these illusions that they are committed to as truth, you know, to kind of drink it up, so to speak. But it's highly unlikely. It's like at this point, even if you are encountering someone that is willfully delusional and um and and somehow like susceptible to illusions as well, that is generally impressionable, the truth will still speak for itself. It will still be evident at this point in time. Again, irrefutable is the word that keeps coming up, like an argument that is ironclad, because as we saw the Ace of Swords in the beginning, you can't argue with the divine. Like, you can't argue, and you also can't really argue with evidence, you know. And with the Ace of Wands, it's like the type of evidence or revelation or truth that can't be denied. It's like all things point to the obvious, you know what I mean? Like, you can't really tap dance your way out of that with excuses or lies, and you can't really manipulate that truth in your favor, because it's just too plain and simple, you know. But it's still, you know, nothing beats a fail but a try. So they may try, but what is given is that they're actually, you know, people that are in that frequency of trying to project their delusions and illusions as truth, are ultimately just doing more work to confuse themselves, you know, like not living in reality, like distorting their reality. It's like they're almost maybe even drinking their own Kool-Aid. You know, they lying so much and telling so many stories and flip-flopping narratives so much that they either can't keep up with it or they actually are believing what they're saying. So in the ways that they mean to be persuasive and influential to others, it's like they're somehow seducing themselves. It's weird. I don't even know what that's about. And that can't be healthy. Certainly can't be productive or forwarding, you know what I mean? So there's that, but there's also, what was the other thing I heard? They're deluding themselves. Oh, and well, they're just looking crazy. That's what it was. Like outside looking in, it just looks terrible. You know what I mean? Which may or may not matter in the grand scheme of things, but if there ever was any protectiveness of someone's image or persona or reputation or anything like that, which I feel there was, if there's this point of protection here where somebody's literally trying to defend themselves, it's definitely dissipating from being anything positive the more someone continues to insist on living in this frequency as opposed to living in their truth. So it could even be like, if this was practically speaking, someone being caught up and, you know, being questioned or prosecuted, or actually being in you know, in the middle of a legal battle of some sort where they're having to defend themselves. And the more that they're talking, the more that they're trying to create an alibi and a reason and like they're trying to implicate other accomplices. Maybe that's what's going on here with the Seven of Wands, that the people that they're throwing under the bus to sacrifice, with that hangman that we saw, for their own freedom and security. It's like the more, it's still not the truth, whatever it is that they're sharing. So in their mind, it may seem as though they're making leeway with creating enough of a web of, maybe that's what they're trying to create, so much confusion and illusion that it almost distorts the case from being fairly tried or from being closed. There it is. It's something about bringing closure to something. It's like somebody wants to keep it wrapped up. Oh, so this could be very, very practical. Like somebody's trying to hold something in contempt or hold it hostage by dragging out some type of proceedings, throwing layer after layer of distortion into the mix, maybe changing their stories or sending authorities on a wild goose chase for this and that don't really exist. And then, it's just a big web and a mess. But ultimately, like I said, they're either digging themselves into a deeper ditch or they're literally just looking crazy. You know what I mean? Like really starting to build a case, and I don't think intentionally so, for their own insanity. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, look at this, Five of Swords. That's what somebody's trying to do, though. They're trying to win. They're trying to beat this case, whether it's the word on the street about what they've done or their true character, their true nature or whatever, whether it's an actual case that they're facing and having to defend themselves, whether it's literally themselves in the mirror that they're fighting against and resisting, or accomplices, or perhaps even other victims. That's what that could be too. The Seven of Wands could be other people that have, like I said, have questions and want answers as to why they have been affected, some type of child infected or affected. This is getting crazy in some type of way. Because I spoke a lot about somebody wanting to intentionally make an impact or infect someone. But they can't. They certainly can't now. And what they have been able to do wasn't sufficient enough for them to be satisfied. So this, again, even more specific and practical, could be somebody that literally has someone to answer, has people to answer to on account of infections that they've been spreading around, spiritually or physically, which we also know, especially physically, doing so intentionally is legally reprehensible. And this is somebody creating this narrative like, I didn't have it, I don't have anything, I got it, or I didn't have anything until I messed with so-and-so, or whatever. And this could even be a kid here with the Page of Cups, which, this is getting too messy for me. Let me get one more and get the hell out of here, because I ain't got time for the drama tonight. Well, wow, with the Moon card, I'll put that down low. Child. I ain't mean it like that, but I don't say nothing for nothing. This could be some type of offense to this either could be offense to actual children, or it could be an offense to vulnerable, unsuspecting people. again, that don't know, that are naive. In this case, maybe not so much naive, but just perhaps unaware. But with that fish in that Page of Cups, there's definitely a consideration to be made there, and a question of where did it come from? And all signs are leading right up under the Seven of Wands, and here over here at the Nine of Wands, all signs are pointing in a very specific direction. So somebody got way more trouble on their hands than they need. This is the karma that they're having to now account for, that they would want to project off onto, I don't know, like literally like pawn it off as somebody else's problem, set somebody else up to deal with it, or relieve themselves at least in some way, shape, or form, even if it is as a casualty for someone else. And it's like the justice has spoken, like it's with the Temperance card showing its face. It's like you ain't getting out of nothing that is justifiably connected to you. You're gonna have to answer for everything, good, bad, indifferent. And with the Moon card here, again, up under the Seven of Cups, something about this mystery, this psychic mysticism, maybe even psychosis, I would even say. So I don't know, maybe somebody actually is on the verge of some type of psychotic break, or definitely on that path, or really just fully expressing, or what's being exposed is the truth of their psychosis, or what's the other word, like not psychopath, but sociopathy. Yeah, like a sociopath, if not a psychopath, because sometimes that's a bit harsh, but definitely a sociopath, which I was definitely getting narc vibes when I was talking about like this intention to be, harmful for satisfaction. It's here. It's definitely here, what I'm picking up. But what I'm putting down is that it's time's up for someone to do that anymore, for any someone's to do that anymore. That's the blind spot, is that it doesn't matter how great of a plan you have, or how many times you've done a thing, how vulnerable someone has been to attacks and impressions before, how much easy access you may have had to infiltrate someone's psychic, spiritual, astral, physical, or even virtual space. It's done. It's done. And the if you never tried in a court of law, if it never makes it that far, the backfire and backlash from just the sheer intention, as I was saying earlier, before it even gets off the ground, is going to be brutal. It is brutal now. It literally could be the difference between here, someone at the Knight of Swords having their head on, more or less straight and focused enough to devise a detailed plan, to now perhaps really being in a state of psychosis at the Seven of Wands, where they literally may be confused, and distorted mentally. Certainly does apply that. So like literally going back to like a childhood wounding here, and that being expressed like some type of regression emotionally and psychologically. And the Nine of Wands can absolutely be some type of mental or energetic imbalance for sure, like a PTSD almost. All here under the moon. So it's like somebody's energetic ambitions and spiritual interferences and such are now catching up to them in the physical form. The karma, the justice, the retribution is all catching up in the physical form, and mainly in such an intense way because someone was still so insistent till the bitter end of their new beginning, whatever this is, to keep going instead of heeding the signs and the signals to fall back. That it's like compounded. The Wheel of Fortune is like exasperated energy. It's expanded, it's expounded, it's bigger than life. Somebody has just compounded their karmic debt in such a way that they working on being bankrupt for many lifetimes to come. Certainly for, I mean, God forbid, if they have children, for many generations to follow. Maybe that's what that is with the Page of Cups. That's what that is. The projection of their illusions now becomes, damn, somebody else's truth. So what they've cooked up for themselves here in this lifetime is now the generational wealth, so to speak, in this case, the poverty that's going to be passed down to their legacy. That's the Wheel of Fortune is like, you know, is like generational type of energy or lifetime or multi-dimensional. Damn, not even multi-dimensional. I got to get out of here because it's getting deeper and deeper. It's like people that have been really fucking around with no chill don't even yet know the gravity of the repercussions that they have created, they have incurred for themselves. It's not even just for them, and it's not as simple as, oh, I'll do a couple good deeds, because somebody could very well see themselves out of debt in this lifetime. Like, let's say best case scenario, it's so much, it's so heavy that it's virtually inevitable for it not to be passed down energetically and spiritually to the next generation or legacy in their lineage. Just as much as generational wealth in the most prosperous sense is going to be passed down and passed forward. It's something about that energy, like somebody could literally make a complete 180 and turn around and evolve in such a way that may still not matter for their progeny or for the legacy that they leave behind. First of all, practically speaking, because they may have done so much damage to their character. You know how it is, like it takes a lot to reconcile a bad reputation. So once a certain narrative about you is circulated without viable evidence, and even still, it may be hard to erase that image from people once it's been proven now. And I'm not just talking about rumors where it's just a whole bunch of talk, but something that can actually be proven and legitimized. Think about even a convict's life, where you could go do your bid, come out, and still that label could follow you for the rest of your days. So there's that aspect of it, but more energetically and spiritually, it's like, even if not someone, but of course you know how I talk by now, but with regards to the cards, even if someone were to really see themselves out of the deepest, darkest debt of karma that they created, it's something about the impression that is made on the generation that's here, perhaps to witness it or have to incur that transitional and transformational time with them, that it still gets passed through like as a residue, so to speak. So it's like they could break themselves free, but not before. Like, say they got a child, but while they're in the process of getting themselves cleaned up or getting themselves reformed and rejuvenated and regenerated, they've still created a witness of that despair of their progeny, so that impression is now made on them to have to deal with, to have to reform from, to heal from. And by God, pray they be resilient to do so. But generally speaking, that's the recycling and regeneration of trauma that's been happening up until this point as is, which has been hard to shake. So it's like bear witness or be on the brunt end of the casualty of what someone has created for themselves. Say they go to jail and now your child is out here fatherless, or they have to go away into a mental institution, and now that trauma has made an impression on the child, either being in separation or just the trauma of it all, or even the toxicity of behavior that has made an impression on account of this unhealed state. It's like the damage is already done. God forbid it's irreversible, and I pray that it isn't, but I'm just saying that it still creates an impression on someone that's still going to create karma for now them to have to reconcile when they're otherwise innocent and could have had the privilege of a blemish-free life, more or less, you know what I mean? At least not to have it packed on to them on account of what their parents or parent aspired to, diabolically, you know what I mean, and unlawfully. So that's the cycle that we're desperately, well, not really desperately, we're hopefully breaking in this season, and many of us have broken a great deal of generational cycles and curses that are as deep as that, deeper, or maybe not so much, but still not productive for the next generation to recycle. And here it is, somebody's making it worse for the generations to come. And that is the sad part to me. That's the most unfortunate part of it all. Like, if you wanted to F around and find out, so be it. Let it be on your own time, on your own dime, for your own repayment, ultimately, of that debt. But now there's innocence that is being affected, and perhaps even other, again, unsuspecting, unaware energies that have been either implicated or actually infected in all of this, that may or may not have deserved to be so. The jury may still be out on that, but as far as his innocence is concerned, that's the part that's really, really sad to me. Yeah, look at this. The Five of Wands, what is this? And the Fool, like, this is the new beginning. Oh my God, like, this is the new beginning. Look at this with the Page of Wands. Some have really heaped a shitload of debt onto their children, and perhaps their children's children, without the strength and resilience to break those chains. And that's the part that just didn't have to go that way. It did not have to be like that. Just on account of someone's inability to resist temptation, to exercise dark possession, to have self-control, you know what I mean? Like, just simply put, like, to have some self-control, to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, basically. That rule did not apply for some folks. Like, it just didn't even cross their mind. And now it's like people are learning the hard way that wasn't just a cliche. Wow, look at this. The Seven of Swords running right into poverty. I'm done with this message. This is what somebody's trickster, lying, deceiving, conniving ways has ultimately created for them. Misfortune. Grave misfortune. Perhaps for themselves, for others that are connected to them in some respective way, and particularly for the legacy that they were destined to lead. And in some ways, there's still that accountability there, that assignment to get the job done anyway, in prayer for the absolute best, because certainly if you don't, it really is, there really is a limitation of hope for any generation to follow. So it's kind of like, even with a seemingly grim or bleak outlook for the future, it's like you still have to, well, you don't have to, but there still is a calling to, again, do that 180 and heal and evolve and all that good stuff and make that turnaround, just for the hope and the prayer that your efforts will also have a productive resonance forward, you know what I mean, and after you. Otherwise, it's just like, good luck and God bless next generation, but at least to do that much for the hope of the future. And it still might not be quite enough. It's almost like just too little too late to have saved innocence from incurring what ultimately is none of their business. None of their concern. So that's really sad to me. But, all we can do is mind our own business, and again, to not take anything that we do or say, connect with, invest in, believe in, for granted, attach ourselves to. Like, there's no such thing as any small infraction that doesn't make an impact. It's like everything is supercharged now. You couldn't even steal a stick of gum from the corner store without incurring that karma on your way out, before you even get out the door, but certainly before you get home. Mess around and crack a tooth or something, chewing it, or swallow it and choke, or like stupid shit. It's like, I didn't even need the gum, so it's like there's nothing too small anymore. There's also in the highest frequency no small deed either, good deed. So for those that are already operative in the way of benevolence, as I talked about yesterday, just keep doing your thing, because it might not seem to be making much of an impact or to make much of a difference, but it does. It does. It does. Even the smallest intention makes a great impression. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. You will absolutely not hear from me this Saturday and Sunday. But I will definitely be checking in with you on Monday for 11/11. So keep those manifestations at the forefront of your mind. Keep your energy pure and positive. Be mindful again of nothing can be taken for granted, especially in this high frequency of manifestation time, where you're going, what you're watching, what you're doing, who with, for why, you know what I mean? Like all of that is under deep consideration at this time, just to keep your magneticism, that current, and that channel as pure as possible and as hyperactive as it can possibly be. Don't worry about intrusions, because they'll take care of themselves by intention alone. All we need to worry about is doing our part, keeping our house clean and pure. And that could be actually so. And I'm actually speaking to myself on that regard. Not that my house is dirty, but I'm not shaming anyone, but I'm just saying, like, I could probably spruce up my bathroom a little bit just to give it a fresh cleanse, So if there's any corner of your spaces that could use a refresh, any corners of your mind that could use a purge, this is a great time this weekend. Get some rest, clear opportunities to just think freely and take care of you, for sure. All right, so again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.